Siteman Softball Podcast live. I had to wait for that World Cup game to end. You know, we can't be interrupting the World Cup, which has been awesome to watch, by the way. If you have, let me know if you've been watching it, because it has been freaking awesome. Let me make sure I'm sharing this everywhere that it needs to be shared. We're on Facebook, we're on YouTube, we're on all that kind of good stuff. Let me make sure I share it with the boys here on Facebook, our Siteman Pure group. In our group chat. There we go. We are in there. So let everyone come on here live. We're going to do another live episode of the Siteman Softball Podcast here today. Congrats to Team USA. Big win. That was a fun one to watch. I find myself getting into soccer more and more. With my daughter playing and all kinds of good stuff. So it's a lot of fun and been really locked in with the World Cup, for sure. What's up, Drew? What's up, Mr. Conan? What's up, everybody? This is episode 59 of the Siteman Softball Podcast. We're going to be live here. We're going to be live. We are live. That's how it works. We're live right now. And I want you to be thinking about something in podcast, okay? If you have a question or topic you want me to go through today, I've got a relatively short show with the schedule and some different things I'm going to go through. I'm going to go through the Siteman Pure schedule for 2023. And if you've got questions, if you've got topics you want me to cover here on today's show, you let me know. We'll do our very, very best to get them in. Reminder on a few different things at Siteman Softball on Instagram. SitemanSoftball.com/podcast is where you can find all the audio. You can find all the different places that you can find the podcast as well. Ball Nation on Facebook. And we're streaming right now on Facebook on mine, Facebook/David Garland. Also, we are on YouTube, Siteman Softball on YouTube. And we are all over the place with brand new episodes every Tuesday of the Siteman Softball Podcast. Now, like I said, on today's episode, don't have a ginormous agenda here today. We're going to go through the Siteman Pure schedule for 2023. Big believer in getting things done early, my friends. I like getting things done early. So we're going to go through the schedule. And then we're going to do your questions live here on the show. Now, I want to give a shout out to our sponsor of this episode of the Siteman Softball Podcast, and that is our good friends at the Siteman Cancer Center. They have a live event here coming up. Today is November 29th. So we are almost, believe it or not, out of November here. So December 6th, there's a live event, Learning with National Leaders, about head and neck cancer awareness virtual event. And if you actually go to learningwithnationalleaders.com, you can find out a bunch of different types of events that you can go and learn more and get engaged with the conversation about cancer and diagnosis, all that kind of good things. So make sure, not good things, but you know what I mean by good. Check it out, learningwithnationalleaders.com. All right. So let's talk, there's a lot of this weekend softball. It's the off season's always the time, right? Because we're all coming off of Thanksgiving, a lot of stuff going on to say the least, right? And it's always a little weird. There's always like some random drama. There was some major player drama this past week. We're not going to even entertain that kind of stuff. We're going to focus on the positive things that we can focus. And also, like I said, any topics you want me to cover, you fire away, all right? So I want to talk about the Siteman Pure schedule for 2023. Now, got to realize that there's a lot of things to think about with the schedule for next year, okay? First of all, the way that Conference USSSA works, and this is for folks that maybe don't know, is that your 7 events are what counts towards your score, your top 7 events, right? You can play it as many as you want, but you're going to have seven scores at the end of the year. Now, this year, there's going to be an additional score. I'm not going to get into that. There's something behind the scenes. Conference is going to announce. It's going to be pretty cool about that, about how there's some bonus points that can be earned this year. But in a nutshell, you're looking at the top 7 point totals, right? That's going to determine where you go from there. So you don't want to play just 7 events, right? Because if you do that, you're running a giant risk that one goes wrong, screwed, right? You're screwed. Any chance of making the major or anything like that, if you have like one bad one, when it comes 7 events. And what conference did this year, and I'll put the graphic up here on the screen in a second of what we're playing. But as you know from the previous episodes, and if you've been paying attention online, what conference USSSA did this year is it's a way more condensed schedule, which I really like. So there's less weekends. Is, in my opinion, making the tournaments more impactful. You know, when you have one, they're literally more impactful because you're going to have more teams in each one and you're going to have less tournaments. So therefore, each one's going to be more valuable, right? But what I also like from a couple other perspectives. Number one, for anybody with families and kids, which is a lot of people in Conference USSSA, having a less rigorous travel schedule. You're not gone every other weekend of the summer. I think a lot of people would prefer that to allow for other things that's going on in the summer in your world, right? So that's traveling with the kids and family or just time at home. So you're having, less tournaments, in my opinion, is a good thing. Also, USSSA is very, what's up, Chris Scott? Good to see you. USSSA is very wary now of rising travel costs, right? So, forcing teams to travel 15 times might not make a lot of sense in 2023. And I'm kind of setting the table for what our schedule looks like. The other thing that I kind of like, because there are some gaps in the schedule. That's just the way it works. Like the way that our schedule works and the way the schedule is, there's some built-in gaps. There's some gaps that we're taking as well. And if I didn't know any better, in past years, I would say, well, the gaps are bad. We don't want gaps. You want to stay hot. You want to keep playing, all that kind of stuff, right? In my maybe old age or small amount of wisdom, whatever you want to call it, one or the other, or both, is, to me, I kind of like the gaps because everyone's working on their game at home anyway. Whether you're doing batting practice or pickup tournaments or whatever else they're going to do at home, right? So everyone's got to continue to stay in shape, recover. That's another key word, recover, and be ready for it. But something that I really like was, when I first started playing softball, I would only play in one tournament a year. I actually played one of the more fun tournaments, actually bringing it back this year, is ready for this one? International Men's Jewish Softball Championships, right? Which Ryan Richardson, who might be watching this, he's taking the reins on that. That's actually going to be happening in Texas on Labor Day weekend. And that tournament, by the way, is awesome chaos. It's ASA. It's unlimited arc. So you can throw the ball 75,000, if you can get it up there, in the air. And there's a giant mat. Like the mat's like the size of essentially the plate and a mat. That's all mat. If not, and it's also kind of wide. And you start with a 0-0 count. And that tournament is on Labor Day weekend. It was on Labor Day weekend for, I think, 40 plus years until COVID hit. And now it's coming back this next year. I don't think I'll be able to personally make it. St. Louis will have a team, but just because of our conference schedule and all the travel. But that tournament is a really fun one because 3 round robin games on Saturday. They might change it to Friday this year. So first day of the tournament, you play 3 round robin games. Then you play 3 more round robin games the next day. So you're 6 games in, and then you go to a single elimination, and they're going to have like an A and B bracket for it. You get teams from US and Canada. It's a lot of fun. Now, why am I mentioning this? I'm mentioning this as relevant to the conference schedule. Well, here's why. That's a once-a-year tournament, okay? Everyone gets super hyped about it, right? Like everyone loves it, and it's all skill levels that come and play in this tournament, from people that barely play softball, want to come have fun, to extremely competitive players, everything in between. And the teams vary in skill. But everyone looks forward to it. They train for it for a couple of months. It's a whole thing. It's a lot of fun. I think when you have too many events in softball, and I've seen teams do this, at all levels of play, playing just an absolute ton, right? And at some level, good. But when you're on a travel schedule, I'm saying traveling out of town and all this kind of stuff and all things that you have to do for Conference USSSA, I think it really makes it more fun and meaningful, and you get fired up for each event because each one is just that more important. It's almost like each one is its own special big event versus feeling like a long grind of a season. So I am excited about this. You know, I know there's some people that are nuts. They want to play every 3 seconds, and that's great. But I think for longevity and looking ahead and things like that, that's what we're kind of looking at. So, all right, that's my long preface into it. Let me show here our graphic. Hopefully I have the right one here. Be a miracle. Let's see. All right, so you should be able to see that. I'm behind the graphic because it's like an overlay. But you will see here our graphic on the screen for 2023 Siteman Pure schedule. Now, through it a little bit here. First and foremost, I like to get the schedule done extremely early. Matt likes to get the schedule done extremely early because then guys can make sure they're off work. They're not taking vacations at certain times, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, that's the world of Conference USSSA. So you got to make sure that your schedule, once it's out, then you can kind of fill in the gaps of things, right? So first thing is in March. No dates on this yet. We're going to have a season warm-up event. It's probably going to be one event. But again, we don't want to show up with everybody playing together for the first time on the 2023 team at the duel. Be like, oh, hi, guys. Nice to meet everybody. All right, let's go play Rosmondo or something, right? So we will do a warm-up event. TBD in March, what that's going to be, where it's going to be. It might be something, if I were to guess, Kansas City-ish, Arkansas-ish, something like that. We'll do something in March to get ready for the season. The purpose of that is just to get together as an entire team, the full team, right? Like we retained our core from last year, but we also have, as you know, some new players coming in. So we want to make sure everyone's gelling. Obviously, we talk all the time on Messenger and stuff like that, but nothing replaces being in person. So we will get a warm-up in March, get a roll. April, so kicking it off with the Hall of Fame Classic Duel in Florida. Now, I made that video last week on Facebook that you might have seen, talking about duels in April. If you like duels and you like April, Conference USSSA has got you covered. Okay, so 8th through 16th, Hall of Fame Classic Duel. All right, that's in Vieira. That's the one that's been there forever. That's what it is. Hall of Fame Classic Duel, Vieira, Florida, April 13th to 16th. What a way to start the year. What a way to start the year. So that will be how we kick it off. And then we're going to get and then right back on it for the Texas Legends Duel at the end of the month. So that is 4 tournaments over 2 weekends, right? So 4 tournaments over 2 weekends, okay? And by the way, I know people are writing questions in here. I don't think I can move this graphic, but I will answer the questions after I talk through this here as well. Actually, you know what? Let me see. We'll come back to it. Texas Legends Duel, Euless, Texas. Then there's a first big break is in there. So you just played 4 tournaments, and we'll know a lot about ourselves after those 4 tournaments. I mean, we'll know a lot. We're going to find out a lot about what we have and what we don't and all that kind of good stuff there, right? So first 4 tournaments. And then we go to the end of May for the Jim Beam Classic, which is a new event in Nashville, Tennessee, May 26th through 28th. Then that's our only back end of the year. Is you turn right around there the next weekend off to the Windy City Classic in Carroll Stream, Illinois, so off to Chicago. So Nashville, Chicago. The schedule is very Midwestern friendly, even though that's where the core of our players are from, right? We've got players from Iowa, Illinois, Kansas, Missouri, see if I forget anybody. And then we go to Arkansas, of course. And then we've got our Arizona, Mr. Brent, got our South Carolina, Mr. David Bear. So we have, a nice little spread out there. I don't think I forgot anything. Iowa, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Arkansas, South Carolina, and Arizona. I don't think I forgot a state there. Nice when there's some Midwestern events because that's easier to travel to for us. So Windy City Classic, June 2nd through 4th. And then there's a break until the end of June. And then we have the one in Kansas City, the Crown, which is June 30th through July 2nd. So both those are single events. The Windy City and the Crown Town and the Jim Beam. So you start with duels, then you go with 3 single events, right there, okay? So now we are at, let's see if I can do my counting here. We're at 4, we're at 7 at that point. Then there is what I'm going to call summer break. We're calling it summer break. Hang out with your kids, don't hang out with your kids, whatever you want to do. Go with your family, don't go with your family. Don't know what you want to do, but enjoy your July, because there is a decent gap then until the Pocket City Duel, which is always around this time each year, is August 10th through 13th, which will be our 8th and 9th tournament, Pocket City Duel. So there'll be that gap in there, calling it summer break. I know someone's going to Disney on our team. I know someone's doing this or that, so that'll be kind of a cool thing to get that in the summer. Because again, each tournament is very significant here, so it's almost like you get to prep for each one being that important, right? September 15th through 17th will be the Conference USSSA Championships in Indianapolis, Indiana. We'll be there. Conference, you announce soon some interesting things about that tournament that have not been announced publicly yet, but got an ear on this one, and it's very interesting what's going to be happening with the Conference USSSA Championships in Indianapolis. What I can say, unless it changes, is that it won't be a qualifying tournament. So meaning like it won't be a major by being the highest non-major qualifying team in that tournament. That was something that changed a couple of years ago, or actually last year. But there will be something else that's very interesting going on with the Conference USSSA Championships, September 15th through 17th. And then we're on October. We want to be at A Worlds. We want to be at the Major World Series. And then, in between, I guess you got the AA, whatever. We'll figure it out when we're down there. No, I'm just kidding. We'll figure it out before then. But that's kind of the look at this schedule this year. And again, it is quality over quantity. Here at some other things that folks, some questions you guys might have. Let's see. Garrett is saying, come see me in Kansas City for in early March. Garrett, yeah, we'll have to take a look at see what the schedule holds for us, for sure. Kentucky, I knew I forgot somewhere. Sorry, Eric. I knew we were missing a state. Kentucky is our missing state of where players are. Kentucky. So I knew I was missing something. I couldn't figure it out. Yes, Kentucky, Kansas, Illinois, Arkansas, Iowa, Missouri, Arizona, South Carolina. Kentucky. Yes, good call. Chandler, all good. We are not going to be playing in the Show No Mercy this year. Just the way that schedule travel and kind of what we're trying to do. Just makes sense that we're going to be sticking, as you go kind of up for lack of, so meaning, now at A level, we have guys from more states, more travel, more flights, more things going on, right? It becomes difficult to make it worth it to travel for a non-conference event during the season, if that makes sense, right? And that's a great event. Show No Mercy is awesome. But for us, it's not going to make a lot of sense to go just because of now we got all kinds of logistics and a lot going on during the season. So we're going to stick with the Conference USSSA schedule. Now, what's interesting this year is there's going to be, with the less events, it's going to be more points per event. So what that does is it almost makes, I don't want to say every event equal because it's not going to be like that. It's not going to be equal. But there's going to be a lot of points at stake at every event. And sometimes some of the events that people are like, well, we have to go to this one because there's a lot of points. I think it's now going to become, well, everything's got a lot of points. You got to kind of pick your poison of what way you want to go and what path you want to go with this. So that's what we're going to do. And, I like to get the schedule out early. We have not changed our schedule ever, knock on wood, in the last 2 years, this being year 3. Doesn't mean that something might cause something, to do so. I doubt it, because we like to kind of set it in stone and go from there, not try to get everyone together a month before or a week before. Or I think some teams last year, they didn't know they were playing in a tournament until 48 hours before a conference tournament, which is making me laugh. Because the thought of that is going to give me an ulcer. It's going to give me a heart attack. Okay. You know who you are, who didn't know that you were playing in a tournament 48 hours before it started. So we like to get very, very organized. Chris is saying, let me see if I can put this up on the screen here. And by the way, like I said, any schedule questions, any other questions, unrelated questions, fire them in the chat. We'll talk about whatever you guys want to talk about here today on this live episode. Let's see if Chris, can I drag this on the screen? I forgot what I can do with this. I don't know if actually, let me see. Oh, I think I can. Hang on. If I do this, oh, this is cool. Wait a minute. I think I figured something out. Chris, watch this. Here we go. Ready? Boom. Ha-ha. Look at that. You can put comments up on the screen now, folks. So Chris is saying the duels are going to be so important this year. Yeah, I agree, Chris. They're important for a lot of reasons. I mean, number one is you got two shots at it, right? So you got two shots at getting points, right? That's a big one. And also you can recover if, say, you don't have a great first duel. Well, you have an entire other duel to work with that. So I'm a big fan of duels. And also for adding essentially a day and a half, give or take, you're adding an entire other tournament on. So I'd rather travel once, play 2 tournaments, go home, versus traveling twice, 2 different weekends to play the same 2 tournaments, right? So I think duels, like, yes, of course, they're a grind. Of course, there's things that are going to be difficult. But because of the less events this year, it's going to make it feel almost, I don't want to say everything feels like Worlds. That's not the right explanation for it. But everything's going to feel like nothing's going to feel like, well, we're just trying to, clock in our 9 to 5 here, So that's kind of my thoughts on it as well, Chris. And we will not be in Seattle. That's just not going to work with our schedule in terms of that. Let's see what is D saying here. It's going to be here before we know it. Can't wait. I know. Like right now, it's that weird time where it seems like the season is light years away. It seems like it's years away, right? Because we're in the end of November here. But you're right. As soon as the clock turns around, next thing you know, we're planning out that in March, and then months become weeks, and we're getting there. So it's gonna be here before we know it. I'm excited for this for sure. Let's see, what else do we have here? Drew Rogers. Do you think this will make most events 20+ teams or in the neighborhood? A good person to ask about that, I'm going to give you my opinion, is David Baer, who I know likes to get out his equations and his abacus and figure out these things. I would say there's going to be every event's going to be over 20 teams. I can't see how there would be an event not having 20 teams, right? Couple factors. Number one, how many conference teams are going to be next year, right? There's rumored, and this happens last year and the year before too, you hear the teams that are not coming back, you hear about the teams that are combining, and then you hear rumors that there's 7,426 teams joining or something, right? Which ends up being like 4 6 or something, right? So I don't know what the numbers are on conference. Are we going to have the same amount of teams as last year, more or less? I don't know. What's your prediction? I'd love to hear from everybody else. Do you think it's going to be more? Last year there was it 40? Let me say. Let's bring up the see what I can see here. Men's standings in 2022. Last year, the season started with 45 teams. Okay, Slugger then combined with was Cornerstone a few tournaments into it, so they were gone. So there was really effectively there was 44 teams in conference last year, and I'm curious because let's just say let's play not devil's advocate. Let's play reality here. Okay. Let's just assume, for sake of argument here, the fees are the same. We know level is going up in terms of price and also just in general distance because of the amount of tournaments for a lot of teams. How many teams do you think are being in conference this year? Drew's saying 30 teams or more. I think it'll definitely be more than 30. I think. Do you know what I mean? I think that we're going to be definitely more than 30, but I don't know. Let me know. What's your number? What's your number? I don't think it's going to be 43 or 44. I'm going to go with less this year. I'm thinking in the mid 30 like that. Do you know what I mean? Like 35. I don't know. I'm going at straws here, but we're going to see how that plays out here over the next couple months, right? Yeah, I think you're going to lose 5 to 10, if not more, and then of course there's going to be new teams. So watch it all be exactly the same. You know what I mean? That's the funny thing that'll probably happen. It'll probably be like exactly the same. Let's see. Daniel Larson in the house checking in. Hope all is well, Coach. Talk to you soon. D. Larson, I see you working hard, always in the gym, always doing stuff. It's always kind of interesting to watch the culture of the team. A lot of our conversations in our group, besides jokes, right, ranging from funny to, not so much. But in our group chat, it's a lot of guys, and listen, I say this with proud when I'm saying this, is that we got a lot of guys looking to better themselves. Do you know what I mean? And I mean this in the least cheesy, but also the most cheesy way possible, right? Because I'm not afraid to lay it on the line here. Meaning, we got guys talking about things that they're trying to improve in their world, in their gym, getting in the gym, doing things right, accountability, right? And it's awesome to see everyone taking responsibility for that, because this is an adult sport, right? And we're not living in a compound somewhere, everybody training and doing the same thing with the same job or something like that, right? Everyone's got their own lives, and so it's kind of cool that it's become more of a place of support in a good way, as people are getting ready for the season here. So we see a lot of Drew Rogers personal records going on there. I like my Eric Conan gym selfie. I like my Daniel Larson's. We're always working hard on there, and he says, yeah, it's what you do when they ain't watching. I agree. People get out there this year. I don't know who, right? And they're going to be a completely different player. Maybe it's you. Maybe whoever's watching this right now, right? And they're going to be a completely different player from an improvement standpoint than they were the year before. Someone watching this right now, they're adding up, or their power numbers, or their defense, or their speed, or something, and people are going to be like, what the hell did that guy do? Or girl, right? What did they do? And then of course, people like to have the lazy answers to that, right? They'll be like, well, got on the steroids, or he's got special reverse shaves, 220 bats, painted as 240s with a blah, 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 or this or that. People love cutting down people that make improvements, when a lot of times it's that behind the scenes stuff. That's what you're not seeing. You're not seeing the gym. You're not seeing people working hard. You're not seeing people work on their nutrition. You're not seeing people work on improvements, right? You're not seeing that. And so people see the end result. And if you're lazy, right, you start making excuses about other people. You say, oh, well, that's not possible, or I couldn't do that, so therefore I'm going to cut that person down. I think it's something that we could always be the person that's made the improvement. Don't make fun of the people that make improvements. Do you know what I mean? So I think that's a big thing. One of my philosophies carries over more in softball. We talk about this in business, no different. No such thing as overnight success in business, right? The rare overnight success in business, which is a unicorn on top of a unicorn, riding another unicorn on top of an even smaller unicorn, right? It does happen, but we're talking rare. Is also similar to the type of person who plays the very, very top of softball, puts in no work or effort, but just somehow can play at an elite level right out of bed. Okay. Are there a couple guys like that? Yes, there are. Are there extremely, 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 extremely rare? Yes, they are. Right. The route to go is not that route. The route to go is that hardworking route that a lot of people don't see. You know what I mean? So when someone says, oh my God, I can't believe this success story, your business popped up overnight or something like that, or I have friends that have happened to this. I hear from me all the time as well. It's not that. You're not seeing the years behind the scenes. You're not seeing the failures, the challenges, the problems. You're seeing kind of the end result there as well. So, I mean, just, we're getting a little philosophical, a little motivational on today's podcast, right? Garrett is saying, I'm putting you on the screen, Garrett. Garrett thinking officiating, those who get to the top work out. Exactly. You don't just, roll out of bed and become a great official. Do you know what I mean? The people that are working at it and take it seriously, those are the people that, make it to that next level. And you keep doing your thing, Garrett. You keep doing your thing. Clayton, Tony in the house. Appreciate you, Clayton. We had a fun time at the Blues game a couple weeks ago. We had how many players were in town? Drew and his wife were in town, which is awesome. Drew and Lindsay. We had Jose in town, and then we had, I want to say 8 or 9 of us went to the Blues hockey game a couple weeks ago in St. Louis. A little night out. My highlight of the night was Clayton, Matt, and Jose accidentally locking themselves in a stairwell by the women's bathroom when they were trying to go down some steps, and they locked themselves inside of a stairwell, and I had to rescue them, but I didn't know they were locked in there for like 5, so that was fun for everybody. But that was good team bonding. Good team bonding for that, for sure. Matt is blaming Jose on that. I've told that story so many times. We just talked about something like so motivational and important, and now all I'm thinking about is the idiot stuck in the stairwell, which was very funny. But yeah, so that's kind of the scope of what we're looking at for next year. I'm very, very happy about how everything's coming together. I think from a conference looking at now, they're going to be releasing, updates to rules, the official conference packet that usually comes out right around the first-ish of the year. So we'll have a little more detail on some of the nuances, if you will, about that. And we'll kind of go from there as we go 2023 season. But folks, I appreciate everyone tuning in here today to the podcast. Got to talk about some, kind of live questions, talking about, we talked about some motivational stuff. We talked about some other things. I hope you guys like that too. I kind of like that sometimes, throwing in a little, philosophical or motivational thing. It's like that happens sometimes, been putting out fires all day today with different businesses. I have business interests in a bunch of different things. And today was like one of those days where it's just, fire, put it out, water, fire, put it out, water, put it out, water, right? That's what you got to do. And that's just, that's the way it be, as they say sometimes. All right, my friends. So I want to thank everyone for tuning in here. Reminder, at Siteman Softball on Instagram, sitemansoftball.com/podcast. And also Siteman Softball Nation on Facebook. Nick is here. Nick is one of my business partners. He's my main business partner, in fact, Mr. Nick Stevenson, who's saying motivation definitely requires some days more than others. That was today with us, Nick. No doubt, my friend. Big thank you to Siteman Cancer Center. Reminder, learningwithnationalleaders.com. And I want to leave you guys with a question on the way out. I'm going to leave you guys with a question. You could comment on the stream. I'll check it even after on Facebook or on YouTube or where all the different places we're at. So I want to leave you guys with a question on the way out. Here's my question, is that I'm just playing with this in my mind, okay, of doing some more kind of, not on the Siteman Softball podcast, but just on Facebook Live and things like that, doing some kind of non-softball content as well. So kind of some more, like you said, kind of like, I don't want to call it motivational, but sharing some other interests, some other topics, some other things that people might find interesting. My personality is that when I'm really into something, I like to get everybody else excited about it as well. So there might be some other things to discuss, whether it be some fitness, some motivational, some business, some other things like that. If that is something you might be interested in, just for some random streams, if you're going up here doing some random fun stuff like that, let me know in. All right, my friends, we'll see you next time. Bye.